Peace, love, and life, family. It's your girl, Morgan Renee Myers, tuning in with another reading of Complimentarity. We are on chapter 3, Trust. Real quick, let me get my water. Got my little detox water with my ginger, cucumber, and lemon. So the first 2 chapters was Complimentarity, chapter 2 was Choices, and now we're on chapter 3, which is Trust. So this author, how do I say his name? Mwalimu Bomani Baruti, and so far he's been pretty much just talking about complementarity thoughts for African warrior couples. So it is targeted toward heterosexual, African-minded, centered thinking men and women. And one thing that I got out of this, since I am myself trying to be in the dating world, not having much success, was I believe it was in chapter 2 in Choices, he spoke on like not pretty much being desperate or trying to make love happen for you. When you're in your African state of mind and being, then you're pretty much running to who your person is supposed to be. So pretty much keep doing what I'm doing, keep going to events, keep being in my community, keep organizing and things like that, and the person that I am looking for will be in those spaces as well, because we're already African centered. And he's also speaking on how, like, you gotta be whole, or you got to be full of you before you can connect and align with your partner. So I'm just going to hop right into it. Chapter 3, Trust. And each one starts off with a quote. So this quote says, "In traditional Africa, the individual is not separated and understood apart from the community. The term person implies fusion with the community. It points to the incorporation of the individual into the community and the incorporation of the community in the individual's heart." My nephew, he's asleep. He got a little cold. In other words, a person is one who has been incorporated into the community and who has placed in his or her heart the virtues and values that the society or community views as being essential to being called a person. That quote is from Eleni Tedla. Any guidelines designed to assist African men and women identify and pursue warrior complements can only be heartfelt and find meaning in a nation, community, family of Mayat. They can only be consciously actualized within a nation, community, family that lives, breathes, and speaks truth, justice, righteousness, balance, order, reciprocity, and harmony. And trust is the defining characteristic of the families that constitute communities and together form a nation. Without trust, there can be no love. You cannot develop a true loving relationship without trust, because trust, i.e., believing in the integrity and fidelity of someone, is the foundation upon which love is built. As the heart of the problem African people have in empowering ourselves is a lack of trust. So many of us no longer see each other as family, and this fundamentally is a problem of trust. We have been conditioned first and foremost by the European to distrust each other. Breaking trust creates discord, disunity, and disrespect within a group. It makes an easy way for invasion and then destruction. Europeans were fully aware that their systematic intergenerational brainwashing of us against us will open the way for progressively self-destructive blind obedience and trust of them by destroyed Africans. Any long-standing, deeply rooted trust lost from a people can only be regained through a protracted, intensive, and extensive nation-building effort. And even though our trust for each other has been only incompletely destroyed, and the struggle required to make it and us whole again began with the very first assault against it, nothing less than its complete and total reclamation and restoration as one of our most powerful and respected traditions must guide the effort behind every move we make to lovingly re-Africanize ourselves. Developing trust must be the force, the dynamic, ulterior motive behind all our helping of each other when we continuously ask of everything we do. How is what I am doing and preparing to do going to help with the re-Africanization of African people? While we may not give much thought to it, the challenges presented to Africans working together to rebuild our nation naturally encourage the development of trust between individuals and within groups. Trust is effortlessly built through the cooperative commitment and action involved in completing often even the simplest interpersonal and group tasks. By systematically developing trust through incorporating trust, reinforcing words and behaviors into our everyday working, professional, and personal relationships with other Africans, former associates become friends, and friends are easily transformed into family. Doing for others when necessary, but especially when it is not called for or expected, has a long-term enduring effect. It bonds people without making any special effort to focus on these activities as trust building. Sacrifice for others has always been a basic and instrumental social cement of empowered peoples. As a small example, humility is a form of sacrifice which helps build trust between men and women. I am particularly referring to the humility that is expressed when we give sincere compliments to each other. African men and women have to relearn how to compliment each other without reading more into it than an altruistic self-love. A compliment to you is, at the same time, a compliment to me. Your beauty and style are also my beauty and style because you reflect me. We are one. We have to learn to be able to give and accept praise and deserved flattery without readily assuming that the giver is trying to get into our pockets or bed. Loving people compliment each other. They thrive on making each other feel good about themselves. Yes, we could definitely do better with that as a people. I call it gassing up. I gas my sisters up all the time. I be seeing sisters sometimes that be strutting their little heels, having their little hair done, their outfit be tight. Like, okay, sis, I see you. Don't hurt us. Okay, you came to stun on them, and they get to giggling, and it's just cute to see them, light up. Cause okay, you did that. Especially when people always talk about how, women are competitive and we jealous and this. No, if I see a sister and you looking cute, sis, and you wore that, I'ma let you know, sis, cause yes, you did that. Okay, and we got to just learn how to accept compliments and give them out and show love. There's nothing wrong with that. So a compliment to you at the same time is a compliment to me. Your beauty and style are also my beauty and style because you reflect me. We are one. We have to learn to be able to give and accept praise and deserve flattery without readily assuming that the giver is trying to get into our pockets or bed. And I've heard men say this too, that half the time they don't even like to greet women no more because they always assume that you're trying to talk to them. And half the time y'all do be. But even if you're not, it's like I can't even speak to a woman without her, getting sideways. And brothers too have to learn that, if that's always your motive, you have to learn rejection. If she's not feeling it or not in a good mood or in a relationship and she tell you no, just say, hey, beautiful, keep it moving. Don't berate the girl and call out her name because she ain't paying you no attention. Moving on. Loving people compliment each other. They thrive on making each other feel good about themselves. In doing so, men have to be very careful of the words they use with African women warriors, even in casual conversation. So I, after reading the first 2 chapters of this yesterday, and I met a lady that lived in my Airbnb. She's from Cameroon, Africa, and we were talking. And she's 50. She's single, but we was having a conversation about a guy and some stuff. And she was telling me, yeah, you're a warrior woman, and like that's why the guy couldn't handle you type. Like, cause this person is like just we're not in alignment, and yeah, it just wouldn't work out between us. But he was interested, and once I saw that we wouldn't work, I just kind of cut it off. And she was like, yeah, he wouldn't be able to handle you because you're a warrior woman. I was like, what is that? Or I had never thought of it like that, but I guess that could also be for the women that they say are too strong or too independent or whatever. They might just have a warrior spirit, because we would be the type of women that not could only nurture our family, but could, protect ourselves if we needed to. Whereas there are some women who just are not built for that. So I'm learning the balance of that, and it's not a bad thing. If you are, I guess, I don't want to say a weak woman, but if you're not a warrior woman, that's just not how you're built. It's just not how you're built. What my cousin say? Oh, baby Morgan be on it. Cuz had me read this within our first 6 months of being in each other's lives as adults, I think, before we got together. That's important, because I'm talking to a guy, kind of, sort of, not really. I'm meeting people, and one that I like, but then I feel like we probably wouldn't be in alignment. And you could talk a good game, you could have books. Because I'm a sapiosexual, so he has sent me some pictures of some books he read. But if we can't have conversations about what's in the books, then what good is this union we're trying to create? And one of my students that I taught a summer camp, her parent gifted this to me. We run kind of in the same circles, and she likes my vibe, and so she gave this to me. I had never heard of it, but I'm glad she did. So, before I even read past this, that men have to be very careful the words they use with African women warriors, even in casual conversation. I agree, because I can't stand when I'm online dating apps and the first thing to do say is, "What's up, sexy?" or just, "What's up? What's good?" Like, that is not how you approach me. Like, I get everybody got their way of communicating, but I'm like, you gotta really have a standout. You don't even gotta be standout, but just have some couth or do something different. Don't "what's up" me. Like, I'm a motherfucking what? What's up? Hey, sexy. How many other women you say that to? Like, it's nothing that's unique or stand out about you. Like, you know how many guys are saying "what's up, sexy" in my inbox? And then that just made me think that sex is the first thing that's on your mind. And I don't like that either, when people are just so caught up in your physical appearance, they can't get past the, "Okay, thank you, I'm beautiful, I appreciate you, let me know that." But don't keep saying that every 2 minutes and we trying to have dialogue. Like, get over that. I could be crazy, batshit crazy, and with a beautiful face. All right, moving on. In doing so, men have to be very careful of the words they use with African warrior women, even in casual conversation. Women, generally speaking, have the tendency to take what is said more seriously than men normally give it. This is true. Therefore, it is not surprising that men are inclined to speak more figuratively, while women tend to respond more literally. These differences, if not understood by both complements, have the potential of creating unnecessary and recurrent communication problems in the relationship. However, on this matter, we should be clear. This is not a complaint against women. Quite the contrary. It is a sincere compliment. For when reared into the truth of Mayatian mind, it speaks to their natural spiritual closeness to veracity. It speaks to our... Let me look that word up. What is veracity? Let's see. Veracity. I could have grabbed the dictionary by now.
Here's the definition of veracity. Conformity to facts, accuracy.
Conformity to facts or accuracy. Okay. So it speaks to their natural spiritual closeness to veracity or to facts and accuracy. It speaks to our need as complements to continuously work toward creating a balance between the possibilities and probabilities in our mission as teams of African warrior scholars. Clear communication is key. We must begin the development of a real abiding trust at the level of individual complements. Despite our socialization as Europeans, trying to be whatever we feel the other person needs us to be in order to manipulate them out of whatever we want from them. That's a European mindset. That's not how Africans should operate. We must stop imitating a predator-prey, domination-submission mentality in our intimate relationships. Lies and manipulation have no place in complementary relationships. They destroy trust. If the deception is stopped at this level, it will not spread into our relationships with our children and family, and in this way will not extend itself into the community and nation. I think that is so powerful. If you're not being disloyal and manipulative in your own relationship, then you're not going to take that to the community that you're in. You're not going to take that around, all the people that you're building with. Y'all just going to be a bunch of honest, loving, caring, trusting people. That's how it should be. That was a really short chapter, trust. I'm going to go on to chapter 4, love and happiness. The quote at the beginning says, "There's no such thing as love in the beginning of a marriage. Love is a process of mutual growth of partners, symbols of community's alliance." I am not even going to try to butcher this person's name. Kimbwadede Kia Buneske Fukia. It's an African person. Wow, that is a name on them. I've heard too that you shouldn't marry for love, but that over time you really can grow to love your partner based on the different trials and stuff that you go through that can really make y'all bond stronger. So all the stuff at the beginning is more so like infatuation and lust and like, but it really you gotta really love somebody to stick out and through some things that you're gonna deal with in long-term relationships. And I think it's very commendable. So chapter 4, love and happiness. Relationships grounded in Western conceptions of love do not work for male and female warriors who join forces as complements. So pretty much how we romanticize and see stuff in America through Western European eyes and mind is not how it works for African persons. Okay. The goals are antithetical to an African end. Searching to find oneself in another, looking for completeness in another, seeking to change another into what one wants, places enormous amounts of energy in managing another's impression of you so that they see what you think they want to see or what you desperately need them to see, defining relationships in purely sexual or economic terms, basing choices on external stimuli such as attire, vehicles, cash, or credit cards in hand, defining physical beauty's features as anything other than African, are not qualities upon which solid revolutionary relationships are built. Okay, so being caught up in all this other stuff, how somebody look, how they dress, what their car look like, what they got, what that. This author is saying that is not what we should be building relationships upon. Now I do see the complications in like now I couldn't just go be with a bum now. I can't be with nobody that's just, on the street and house hopping and not putting forth effort in getting his situation together. But it just depends it really depends on the person, their drive, their goals, how I will be able to support them. Not like support them like they mama, but be a compliment to them pretty much. But I don't know. Certain things I would like for a brother to have in place prior to going that route with him. Love for African compliments begins inside. It is the feeling of pride experienced when one watches the other's power mature as he or she daily strives to be African. Of course, there is a physical attraction. Of course, the longing to be with that individual becomes a matter of incessant thought. A curious infatuation within moderate boundaries is healthy. To converse with him or her, to get to know more and more about him or her, to have all questions answered, consumes an enormous amount of energy. That is only natural. How else could procreation be such an easy and naturally occurring phenomenon? In European reality, sexual intercourse and the physical body are intentionally misconstrued, manipulated, obsessed on, and exploited. The dominant media's sexual and capitalistic imperatives glorify baser desires as the all-in-all of relationships and true love. Without this glorification, we cannot be victim to their and our own sexual and economic exploitation through mental exploration, imitation of exaggeration of the media portrayal of these imperatives. These baser desires in and of themselves cannot and do not work to stabilize and maintain complementary relationships among Africans or anybody else for that matter. In fact, sex should be considered as only a secondary ingredient in any solid, dynamic, African-centered complementary relationship between an emotionally mature adult male and an emotionally mature adult female. Romance is a big part of that grand deception. It is glorified in the West as essential and normal to the development of healthy male-female relationships. So if your man don't go all out and spend a whole bunch of money and get gifts on February 14th and all, that's all romance. And we only think that we want that and that way because that's how we grew up in America and that's how we were taught. But that's not necessarily the case. Like, especially if you're building families and nations together, like, you don't need all that. Do y'all respect each other? Do y'all show love in the things that y'all do? Like, why do you feel like you need these big actions and displays of love? And I'm not into it because I feel like it's cliche. Why you gotta do what everybody else doing? I don't want a big ass box of chocolate and a teddy bear. I don't even rock with teddy bears. Why are you wasting time? Like, honey. Romance is a big part. Okay, is a big part of the grand deception. Is glorified in the West as essential and normal to the development of healthy male-female relationships. Of course, we must bear in mind that normal, healthy male-female relationships in Western society are rife with aggression, violence, betrayal, and division. This has always been so for them. The illusion of peaceful, loving complementarity that romance temporarily brings is what makes sexual intercourse between males and females possible for them. For it allows a moment of peace within which these individuals can safely sexually ravage each other. In Western relations between males and females, domination and sex, in that order, are the foremost priority. In stark contrast, romance has no place in complementary African relationships. We recognize that romantic episodes are nothing but short-lived fantasies which result in confusion over the inevitable discovery of imperfections in the relationship and the other individual once the thrill is gone. Romance and courting are two different things in the real world of most of humanity. In the Western fantasy world of romantic love, they are confused as one and the same. The idea of romance assumes that love is not something that must be built and developed between two individuals working to become true complements. It assumes that a solid relationship is successfully built during the short romantic infatuation period. It operates on the plane of love at first sex. Everything in the Western world is a rush. But even then, courtship is not marriage. It is just a more concrete introduction to the idea. Marriage is work, hard work. Within this work, African complements experience a continuous flow of amazement that strengthens the growing love they feel for each other. They feel closer to their complement every time they witness her or him express their full potential in what they do. They never cease to be amazed at what the other is capable of when it is least expected. It is a continuously growing pride in your complement's accomplishments, which show him or her to be better than you ever imagined. True love is the culmination of many years of this growing amazement. It only comes with time. True love comes into being when you have been with someone long enough to know that they would die for you and you for them without a second thought. Wow. Okay. So that was chapters 3 and 4, Trust and Love and Happiness. The next chapter is 5, Vision and Marriage is chapter 6, and I will read those two at another time. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. This will be uploaded onto my YouTube channel. Make sure you check it out. Peace, love, and light to you all.